Okay, what is up, YouTubes? I'm going to try to get through this pretty quick. I had someone request today that I show them my process, maybe how I find coins or how I draw the support resistance lines, that sort of thing. And I'll get into that. Like I said, this is going to have to be a quick one. I'm hoping within 30 minutes I'll be done with this one. I work full time, so I don't have time to do videos all day like most people. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention it's good to balance things. It's not just all about crypto and making money. Time's just as important. So I just wanted to mention this channel here. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It's called The Diary of a CEO. And this video in particular, I thought was real good. She talks about fasting. She's like the #1 fasting expert. So, definitely check something like this out. If you're having any health issues, fasting can repair a lot of that. Okay, where do I want to start? Let's start with just a couple of trades that I did recently. Speaking of which, if you're not on my Twitter, I do post these on my Twitter. And actually, here is my trading view as well, because usually it'll hit my trading view first. See, I've got a lot of different trades here that you can follow. If you click on it and you hit the play button, it'll show you what's going on with it. Like this one rejected off that resistance line currently and this downtrend line. And I'm going to get into that here in a second. So #1, this is the best place to start, but usually I'll also post it on my Twitter. And I know that's what you're all here for, and I don't mind that. I give this out for free. I want everybody to be able to, make some money off of crypto if possible. And that just allows people to help their family, help their friends, it helps everybody out. So, of course, hit the like button on this video because it'll help reach more people. All right, so that takes care of that. That's my trading view, bike for sale, and Twitter is bike for sale as well. All right, #1, this is ANC. I called this one, I think about right here when it got above this resistance. So everything that I do, by the way, it's all about support resistance. So there's horizontal lines here in the purple, and then these blue lines, or if sometimes they're white if they're a longer term trend line. These trend lines also matter as far as, like, see right here, it rejected perfectly at that line. So #1, I think horizontal lines are the most important. And then #2 are these. Let me back that out so you can see it better. And I'll get into this later, but basically this is a long-term downtrend line and it's been respected multiple times. It stayed under it the whole time. And then it bounced off of it again here, rejected. You have to go down to a 3-hour to really see it. I mean, yeah, it went above it for a minute, but they brought it right back down and it rejected. So, chances are it's probably going to come back down here first, or it'll find support here. And like I said, I'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, so from the 3-hour time perspective, what I was looking for is to get a candle that closed above this horizontal resistance. So it was coming up, it got over it. It did close a candle slightly above the line. But see, then we came down and we had a candle close below it. So my rule usually is, if you purchase here at the support line, it's now turned into support because you got a full candle. So now if it comes down and it closes a full candle below, then I'm going to get out of it. But what happened was it came back up, it closed another candle above, so I'm back in. And you can see it stayed above these. The reason why there's 3 lines here, by the way, is support and resistance is a zone. It's not one single line. You're just not going to find one single line is going to give you an exact target every time. So it's better to have a zone to look at for support and resistance. For trend lines, it doesn't really matter as much, but for horizontal ones, it does. So yeah, once we had that candle close above for the second time, then you can see it never came back below it. And what you could have done, and again, I'll get into this here in a minute. Well, #1, the RSI, you can see it never got above this or below this line here. So once it got above RSI, the 50 line, so here's your 50 line RSI. The purple line is the actual RSI. And this yellow line is like, I think it's an average of the RSI. So it's just like a moving average. But you can see, it finally got above the 50, which is usually bullish, especially on a higher time frame chart, like a 3-hour or daily. And you can see it never crossed back below that yellow line until right here. And when that happened, that's when we got back below this trend line right there. And so what you could have done, let's say you entered here, you would have held all the way to this resistance line. And you could have taken, 10, 20, 30% of your profit right there just to be safe. Or you could have taken 50% out if you hit 100% profit. So you could have waited for 100% profit right here at about 1606, taken that, and then left the rest to ride, just keep going up, because you would have gotten your profit out and you would have been trading for basically no loss at that point. However, there is one thing that I don't really mention that often, and that is moving your stop loss up. So, really, I had more like a mental stop loss, and I'm not going to close my position unless it gets under this horizontal line. I have to have a full candle under that line or zone, and that's when I'll close my position. But if I want to have a running stop loss, let's say, that we got up here to this resistance, or let's say that we had this big breakout candle. Well, I probably would have moved my stop loss at least up to here. I might have even moved it up higher, to half of this, because a lot of times what'll happen is the price will come back and retrace 50%. But that's just if you want to close your whole position. If you're wanting to keep some of it open and you do have time to be around the screen, then I would just leave it running. If it did get above this next resistance line, then for sure I would have brought my stop loss back. I would have brought it up to here or so, just under that support line. That way, if it rejected for some reason, you'd be able to capture all those profits and you wouldn't miss out on them. And you can set like 50% stop loss. You don't have to set the whole thing. It depends on how your exchange handles that. But clearly, once it got going, it did hit another resistance area here. So you could have taken profit at each resistance area until you were completely out. That's really how the institutional buyers and sellers do it. That's how the big whales do it. They don't close out their position all at once. Usually they're going to be slowly, incrementally closing their position. So just keep that in mind. All right. So, that's it. Currently it's coming down to the next support line. If it stays above that, then, it may come back up to here, but currently it's working within this range. If it was to close a candle below this zone right here, I'd probably take a short down to this area. And that's really all you're trying to do. Currently it's clearly bearish because the RSI has closed, or it has dropped below the overheated area up here where you're way overbought. There's too many people that have bought it and there's not enough people left to keep buying it. So now the sellers step in and it's coming down, and it's still above the 50 line on RSI. So technically it's still in a bullish zone, but there is the breakdown of this yellow line, this moving average here. It came below it. So there's really no reason to be in this position right now unless it breaks back above that yellow line. And the name of this is, I think it's just RSI. Let me see. Yeah, it's just the relative strength index indicator, the regular one. And it has this little moving average line with it. And this down here is just money flow. When I see green money flow, it just tells me that money is still coming into this crypto, and I feel better about being long. And on the flip side, if I see money coming out of it, then that means it's, there's no longs to be had currently until the RSI breaks back above like it did right there. But I really wasn't watching RSI back then. I was just watching this resistance line to see if it got broke. And that's really what it comes down to, is keep things real simple. And your support resistance lines are the simplest thing that you can use when trading, and just, stick to the rules. Okay, so I know what y'all really want to see is what the big coins are right now to play. If there are plays to be had. SRM is a short that you could be looking at. It's currently below the resistance area. Money flow may be coming down. It's hard to see right now, but RSI is below the little, moving average thing. So if RSI was to break below 50, then this is probably going to dump to somewhere down here at least. And typically that does happen when these little smaller shoulders happen right here. You usually do see a retrace back to, somewhere in this area. ZIL is one that I just posted last night. And actually I can bring that up and just show you what these look like. Where is that at? Here it is. Yeah, so if you go to my trading view or you go to my Twitter, you can click on this. I've got all the rules down here to tell you how I would normally play something like this. But just really quickly, any of the purple areas are support or resistance. The dotted lines are minor support resistance. I just drew them to kind of give me a better idea of where the minor resistances are currently. This blue line right here, the downtrend line, it needs to get above that to get macro bullish. There is a chance of I've got this dotted blue line here that's a shorter term resistance that it's broken out of. It's harder to see this one. If you hit play, it'll show you something, but this one's new, so it's not really going to show you much right now. But if you look at the chart that I have here, it broke above this trend line right here, and it's testing it currently. And one thing you should know is it could come all the way back down to here. Just because it gets out of this doesn't mean it's going to blast off. And that's the hard thing. I mean, that's what really makes it difficult to trade. So what I'm looking for is to see if it gets above this purple dotted line here. If I get a candle above that, then I feel pretty good that at least short term, I can get a move from about here to there. And if you're using leverage, let's say if you're using a 10x leverage, then all you need is a 10% gain to get 100% total gain on your money. If you're just looking for quick ins and outs, then that's the way to play it. When it got above this trend line here, it actually pumped almost 10%. So 5 to 10%, somewhere in there. If you want 100% gain, you'd have to use a 20x leverage. 5% gain would give you 100% total gain. Just be careful. It is risky. And to be honest, crypto is gambling. Stock market is gambling. And the reason why I say that is we don't know what price action is going to do because the market makers are in control. They constantly move it up and down, trying to grab liquidity because the rules don't apply to them. They can do whatever they want. They run the show. So that's why these support resistance areas are important, is just because we really don't know where it's going to go. We have to use technical analysis to try to give us the best setup. Really investing, the most important thing is not to lose money. We want to, or lose as little as you can, while still, making bigger gains on the other end. If you're making 50% of your trades, if you're even 30% successful trades and you're using correct money management, portfolio sizing, only using 1% of your portfolio for each trade, doing your stop losses, that sort of thing. If you're doing all those correct things and sticking to your rules, then you can beat the system. But only 5% of traders do that because most people are not disciplined enough, and most people don't have enough time to sit in front of their screen. So, that's just how it goes. You have to put the time in. But anybody can do this. It just takes some time to learn it. Experience is really the best teacher in this case. So even if you do know the rules, you have to get some experience doing it first. So that is SRM, that is ZIL. Again, I need to see a candle close above here, and then the next resistance is there. You can see back here, it rejected at it. This is a longer term, but if it gets above that, then it's going here. So let's say you get to here, then it breaks out. So you've made 10% there, and now you're going to make another 24% or so. And it could just blast through this level. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's going to stop here. That's why you move your stop loss up once it gets back above, up above this next resistance area and turns it into support. And you can use RSI to find these trades. I mean, look how it was oversold right here, way down here in the bottom RSI. And then the line crossed above this yellow line. And that coincided with a full candle closing above the support line. And so I would have taken a trade somewhere in here. I got confirmation on this candle, so I'm going to take a trade about right there. And these buy signals, by the way, that's from Engineering Robo. If anybody is interested in that indicator package, I can tell you more about it, but it does cost money. So it's completely up to you. But I mean, you can, if you put enough time in, you can trade for free. You know, you don't have to have something like that. But for people that have money, sometimes, you know, they want to see something like that to give them extra confirmation. So this is on a daily chart. I mean, this is more macro. You know, that's why I was saying this price can come down still a little bit, could even come down to the support level. That's just how it goes on a daily chart. You have to go down to much lower time frames to catch the quicker moves. And currently it is still bullish because we are above the 50 RSI, but it does need to get back above that line. If on the 3 hour here, it was to break down and go below 50 on RSI, then, you know, we're definitely coming back down here somewhere. Okay, so that is ZIL. Let's look at Quant. Yeah, you can see here Quant is just following this upward, this short-term upward trend line. I've actually got it on 45-minute chart currently. This is what, well, let's bring it to a daily first. You always want to start out with your higher time frame. You know, currently, well, let's do this one first. So this solid blue line right here, and actually I'll make it white because it's a longer term. Okay, it's a longer term trend line, downtrend line. So it did break above it. It faked us out back here, but it did break above it. And currently we've got about 4 hours left before this daily candle closes. So I would say if this full candle closes above this line by the end of the trading day, then this is a solid buy signal to go up to this line at least. However, it could come down first. You know, just because we get a candle closing above doesn't mean it can't come down any. And, you know, you have to be prepared if you are going to take this trade, prepared to close it if it, you know, if you get a candle that closes below this white line. So that's what I mean by sticking to the rules. And then, of course, definitely close it if you fall below this support area, because it has held this support for a little while anyway. I mean, currently it is. But the reason why this is a nice looking trade is because you've got this bullish divergence that's happening. So your price action has created a lower low from this one, but your RSI created a higher high. And so you got this coming down, you got this going up. That means momentum's coming back into the coin. You can see that here on the money flow, it seems to be tapering. I mean, if you were to take a line like this, it seems to be tapering back up to positive money flow where it gets back into the green. And that's just another factor I'm looking at. So far, this looks pretty good. I mean, it's above the 50 RSI line. Nothing is ever 100%. The market makers could just drop this anytime they want. And that's why you have stop loss areas that you decide, well, I better get out of this trade so I don't lose more money. And so that's what I'm looking for currently. I believe, let me double check here. I don't know if I have this one on TradingView or not. I should. Okay, this one's not on here. It looks like I need to post this one. I'm just going to post it temporarily and then I'll put the notes later maybe. That way, if any of you want to be able to look at this chart, you can. We're going to put this down as a long. I don't make any of these public. I mean, I'm not really worried about sharing it with the masses. I'm just, you know, whoever's interested, if you want to hit the thumbs up on this channel or if you want to tell your friend about it, that's fine. I'm not looking to get famous or looking to make money off this. I'm just trying to help out and share what I've learned. All right, so Quant, we posted that one. It should be showing up now. There it is right there. So I just put on there that I'll put the notes later, but this will allow you to go on there and look at it anyway. All right. So that takes care of quant. And by the way, that's kind of the same setup with ZIL. That's something I saw that I really liked out of ZIL, is you've got almost a double bottom thing here going on here, but you did have a higher low, so that's good. Well, actually, you did have a double bottom. If you look at this wick right here, it hit this short-term or weaker support line. I mean, it hit it exactly, just like this did back here. And let's see, let me just look at the weekly here. Yeah, if you look at the weekly, you could call that double bottom, I guess. It's really more of a higher low that it's been created, but you also have this higher low on the RSI. So I think on the weekly, as soon as this RSI breaks above that yellow, you're good, for a longer term trade. But it's already done on the daily. So the lower you get on the time frame, the more chop you're going to get. But this gives us a good indication that at least short term, we're looking pretty good. But again, it could come down to here and retest these areas first before breaking higher. So don't be surprised if you enter a trade and it starts turning around on you. The only way to keep from that happening is you would have to be trading on lower time frames, and you'd have to come back here and look and see, okay, RSI crossed up here, so I'm going to enter because it crossed over this dotted line right there. I got a full candle close there, plus my RSI is bullish. So I'm going to get in that trade, but here it crossed back below the 50, so it's starting to drop back down. These are just the choppy plays that happen on the lower time frames, and there's nothing you can do to control them, but you do have to control your emotions. So just decide if you're going to enter a trade, know where your stop loss is, know where your profit taking areas are, stick to your rules, and you're good to go. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to speed this up here. So TOMO, we are currently, that's the 15-minute. TOMO, we are currently bullish, but this one, what I want to show you is I'm looking at this one for a short, and I thought the short would have happened. I mean, it did crash here pretty good, but I thought the bigger short would have happened quicker, because this thing went up like 600%. And remember, the faster they go up, the faster they can drop. This one was pretty steady the way it climbed, so that may be part of it. But I'm thinking it's going to make some kind of lower high in here somewhere, lower than this one. But to be safe, what I'm looking at is I'm going down to a lower time frame, and I'm seeing if it breaks below my trend line that I drew here. So I've got a short-term trend line. If I get a candle below that, I'm probably going to short it. And then especially if I get one below this other trend line here, I'm getting out of it. And I've got a few other ones here. I mean, I've got these listed, but POGAI is getting overbought, way overbought. So if it crosses back below, I'll get out of that one. Anyway, those are the best ones, I think. And like I said, I don't want to make this too long. Bitcoin is always something you have to keep an eye on, because Bitcoin can affect, if Bitcoin was to drop real hard, of course the alts would as well. Maybe it'll just go sideways for a while. That's what we want to see out of it, to be able to get nice gains out of the altcoins. And currently, hopefully it just stays within this range for a bit. But I think for sure it'll stay above this little highlighted area that I have right here. I think it's going to maybe range in this area for a while, and that would be fine for alts. But just remember, any sharp dips or even any sharp breakouts of Bitcoin can affect alts, because money flow will go into that for a while. Okay, I think I'm going to end it there. If y'all have any requests or anything, I'll try to get to them. Like I said, I'm really busy. I have a full-time job, but just let me know. Talk about it in the comments if there was anything you have a question on. I can try to get into it in more depth, to show you how to do the support resistance lines, that sort of thing. But other than that, just leave a like and share it if there's some friends you think might benefit from it. And we'll see what happens with all this, but I'll try to do an update at least once a week and give y'all an idea of what these altcoins are looking like. But again, definitely follow, Bike for Sale at TradingView. and Bike for Sale on Twitter, because that's where I post these trades, and you can follow them. Maybe you can make some money off of them even. All right. Y'all have a good